Sakto, pero
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Dead Air, a horror podcast.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dead Air, a horror podcast. For this podcast, what we do is we have a guest who chooses a horror film, and we all have to watch it and talk about it. So my name is Aaron, and I'm one of your hosts for the show. And the reason I'm here is because they were just going to be two boys, and no one wants to just listen to two boys. So they got a girl. And also, I love horror. I didn't go to film school, but I really enjoy the thrill that it gives me and how much fun it is to watch with my friends. I have two other co-hosts with me.
I'm Miguel. I'm one of the co-hosts. I do love watching movies, pero medyo blind spot yung horror for me dahil takotin ako. But this podcast has really been fun. I've enjoyed watching horror films that our guests have picked.
Yeah.
And our
There's one more.
leader.
There's one more.
There's
One more. Yes. Hi, I'm Chris Costello. Out of the three of us, I'm probably the most obsessive horror fan. No? So if you think about it, we're kind of a gradient. There's the scaredy cat, there's the fan, and I'm probably the obsessed one. So that's
Okay.
that makes us kind of a little well-rounded in terms of how we talk about our movies.
Yes. And we have a really special guest in this episode. And I don't know if this person even needs an introduction because everybody
No.
knows who this is. Musician and a writer and a director. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Ely Buendia. Yay!
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show, Ellie.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yay. We're so happy
Cool.
that you were able to make time for us today. So one thing that we always ask our guests, the first thing we always ask is, what is your horror origin? How did you begin to like horror?
I don't like horror. I don't like being scared.
Great.
I don't think anyone is born into liking, being scared. I was always a scaredy cat. As a matter of fact, I still can't sleep without the lights on.
Oh.
I do not believe in ghosts anymore, although I did for a long time, like for 45 years of my life.
Wow.
I believe there was another world where spirits go. But as far as movies are concerned, definitely that's my favorite genre. It's next to side by side with sci-fi and
Excellent.
thrillers, crime dramas. So yeah.
Oh, awesome. I'm curious because you said that you used to believe in ghosts for a good 45 years. What made you stop?
I don't know. No ghosts appeared.
Maybe that the so-called third eye is closed, and we're thankful for that.
A what? What's that?
Third eye.
Third eye.
Sarado. And then, okay na tayo. Sarado yun.
Oh, good na rin ako doon.
Appear. Pwede na tayo dyan.
You don't like being scared, but you like horror genres. Do you remember the first horror movie you ever saw?
Must have been an Italian movie that I loved. I think I saw it in a theater. I was probably like 5 or 6. I was scared out of my mind because they had this. Parang siya, rip-off ng Exorcist.
Oh.
That would be probably 73 or 74, 1974. And noong time na yun, cinemas would have these parang gimmicks. Born sa 70s era.
79. Pasok naman.
Pasok naman. Oh.
God.
Anyway, most of the cinemas back then had gimmicks, especially when they were showing horror. And one of their gimmicks for this movie, I forgot the title, was there was this scene where this possessed woman was on a wheelchair and she was possessed, so she flew out the window of her building. And just as she flew out the window, the cinema went dark. There was no There was no projection at all. And then suddenly there was a spotlight
Oh shit!
by the side of the screen, and there was the woman on a wheelchair flying towards the projector over the audience. And it was wow, grabe yung effect nun sa akin. I was scared shitless.
Oh,
But it
5
was a
years old.
mannequin, but yeah, it was a mannequin, but still, you know.
Yeah.
So that's traumatic.
Yeah.
Sayang, you know what? Honestly, kung ginagawa pa nila yan at this point, that would be so fun to watch with, I mean, not in COVID, but I mean,
Yeah.
wala nang ganyang gimmick ngayon, di ba? I think
Hindi
the
na lang
last
ngayon, 4D na lang.
4D na lang,
Oo,
yeah.
4D.
4D stuff.
na may tubig. Okay, yun na yun.
And yung smell, diba? Sometimes may
Yeah.
perfume.
There was this
or like-
one 4D that I watched na may mga daga on screen. So they had strings on the bottom of your feet going like that.
Shit.
Whoa. It's kind of gross. Anyway, so Ellie, you actually chose a film that I have never heard of and I have never seen.
Yes.
What's the title of the film for our listeners?
It's called Just to Kill by Brian De Palma.
Yeah. What
Awesome.
made you choose this movie? Because it's actually not considered, I would say it's not considered one of the classics because hindi siya masyadong mainstream, I assume. Because there are horror movies that I heard of that are way older. But this one, it was a little more low key, I would say. Why did you choose this movie?
Well, first of all, I'm a big Brian De Palma fan. I actually became a fan because most of his gangster films I really liked.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like Scarface and Untouchables.
Untouchables.
I love
Yeah.
Untouchables.
Yeah, although I knew he made Carrie, and that was floating around in the popular culture atmosphere when I was growing up. But I've never seen it. So the only time I saw a full film of his that was it's a slasher flick
Yes.
technically.
Yeah, I was
But,
just gonna say.
well, considered naman as horror. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was really taken by how stylish it is and how smart the script was and how controlled the scares were. Kumbaga, this was a time when horror movies weren't really doing that whole jump scare
Mhm.
experience. And it was just like a couple of set pieces lang, which will definitely scare you. And then everything leading to that and after that is all build up.
Yeah.
So that was the time that this was in vogue. I think it's a really, really, really good, smart horror film.
So this is I just want to go on record now. This is I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. This is the first film that was chosen and none of us had seen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Am I right?
Zero.
Yeah.
Medyo magaling na zero.
Oh,
Like we all came in blind.
All came in blind. Usually one
Yeah.
or most of us have seen the choices. No? This is the first one that none of us had seen. And which is surprising also for me because I consider myself a film fan and I'm also a very big fan of De Palma. I had not seen this at all. This is one of the few na I hadn't seen. So I think one of the first things would be fun is to talk about our first impressions of the movie because like it's
yeah, great.
This movie,
great.
the
I'd like to
first-
hear it. Yeah.
like it's a lot, no?
It's a lot.
Especially for someone who doesn't know De Palma. Like, so I'm so excited to hear Aaron actually what you think about it.
Question first for Ellie. How old were you when you saw this movie?
I was in college na.
You were in college.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. Kasi-
I was watching. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, kasi you said na it's not that popular. It's not here in the Philippines, but it was very popular in the States where it was released. But copies were hard to come by, especially in the 90s. So VHS lang yung nakuha ko. And pan and scan pa. So
Right. Because I was watching with my roommate. Tapos sabi ng roommate ko, oh, alam ko to, I know this movie. Sabi ko, oh, how do you know it? Because I remember when I was a kid, my parents were watching and they told me to leave the room. 3 minutes pa lang papasok. I was like, so this was my first impression. 3 minutes in, I sent a video to our group. Sabi ko, what the fuck am I watching, guys? Ano to?
Soft porn.
Yeah. It's like, ano to? Horror ba to? And then within that first part, talagang, oh my God, it's horror.
Yeah,
Immediately.
Yeah.
What is this woman going through, you know? And we were talking about it a little bit earlier that now it would probably be very problematic.
Yeah.
Very.
No?
Very problematic.
I think at that time it was also controversial. Even at that time, like parang yan. Like, anyway, but yeah. So for me naman, parang yun nga, parang yung the way I know De Palma is that Mission Impossible, Untouchable, Scarface, very masculine, very, very violent films. So I went into this blind. And then when the opening played like a softcore porn thing, aminin ko I had to check if I was watching the right movie. Like I went on Wikipedia. I went on Wikipedia and parang tama. So sige, I stopped reading and then went on to watch it. But galing din because that first scene, parang like we're thrown into like parang what is happening? And then parang you're left with that imbalance for the whole movie, which kind of works for it. In my opinion, that works towards like, a good effect.
Yeah. For me, it's really, yun nga, it's like the opening scene really sets the tone because it's just like, whoa, what's happening? And it's like, oh shit, what is that? Like, it's first of all, it's very provocative. The start is very, there's the lingering shots on the naked body of Angie Dickinson. And then it becomes a rape fantasy. Like first it's like, oh, so she's just like, jerking off. But then it's a rape fantasy and you're so this is something else. So that's what I mean, like it's so much. So that's why I was so interested to hear your first reactions, Aaron, because like to me, honestly, like knowing De Palma, I mean, like it's not as shocking, siguro, for me as it is for someone like Aaron who would see it, watching it for the first time. No, but I was still definitely really shocked. Like I'm used to the violence De Palma. I'm not used to the rape fantasy De Palma. You know what I mean? Like,
or no, parang dark sexual tension De Palma. Parang damn. Parang he really went for this sort of feel for this movie. Galing din.
Before I forgot, we can start out with getting our favorite host to give us a quick synopsis to get listeners in on what the movie's about. So maybe we should jump back to that.
All right. So this is really part of the pod, Ellie, na they test me kasi sometimes pag horror film, alam nilang takot ako and they suspect me of not watching the films we're supposed to watch. So to prove myself, I have to give the recap. So, okay guys, obviously I watched this. So when I came in blind and then parang nung nakita ko nga na parang shit, this is porn. So I had to Wikipedia and it said parang sexual thriller. So I knew na I could watch it. Like I wasn't gonna be, alam ko hindi siya multo, walang exorcism, okay naman. So I watched this movie. So it's about a woman and her psychiatrist, and the woman feels she's being followed. Oh shit, there are actually two women. It's actually confusing. There's two women. One woman is sexually adventurous. The second woman becomes the suspect in a murder. And then what links them is us, the psychiatrist. And then with the help of a victim's son, we sort of investigate the murder so that one of the women can clear her name. And then later on, we find out who the killer is.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a bit of a detective. There's a bit of a meron pang mga police and detectives. It's a bit of a mystery with a lot of sexual tension and sex in it. Parang sex is used a lot in this movie. To get a certain, as a means to an end, literally. Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
I was just gonna ask. So Ellie, what do you think of Miguel's synopsis summary? Does it pass?
Pinawisan ako din. Medyo, kasi it's a hard movie to describe.
It's a hard movie to describe. Yeah. It's really tough.
But like I was saying, I think that's deliberate. it was really meant to confuse you and throw you off. So that ending is really a surprise. Yeah.
It is.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I like the term that you use, sexually adventurous, because in the movie, the policeman straight up says, "No, you're a whore."
You're a whore.
Yung language then of the time, I was really like,
Grabe.
wow.
Yeah.
And because Ellie, I lived in New York for 5 years on and off, so everything looked familiar to me. Pero talagang that was of its time. That whole
Its
yeah,
time.
right. Yung mga
You
police.
mean they don't talk like that anymore?
Yeah.
No, na. That subway station is now safe.
Easy na to. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really of its time because it's like there's a gang of young black men attacking a white woman, and something like that would not fly in a film right now. But I'm sure that was so common in film at the time. You know?
Yeah. And even the themes, yung pagka transsexual nung suspect was fairly new at that time.
Yes. And
I guess
medyo fair, Yeah, and they were very sensitive. That movie, for all its sexual content, was very sensitive to the transgender person.
It was.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it was. I agree. Kahit nga I said na bago pa lang yung concept na yon, and people were still the culture was still coming to grips with the whole transsexual, shall we say, phenomenon. It was very sensitive na the way De Palma treated it.
Yeah.
When we say it's problematic, I do agree with you kasi I think it was in a way it was very sensitive. But also like, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like even tackling the subject to begin with is tough. But they could have gotten worse. You know what I mean? Like, it could have been like time. Really like, I know. So I'm really curious about what people today think about it. You know, in today's in the woke
society
culture of 2021, like how people view this with that lens. Like because I can see a lot of problems with it, but I can also see like, for its time, I think it's really much better than a lot of films that would have tackled at the same time. I think certain themes like that. But for me, like, because De Palma's always shocking. Like really, like I mean, like, if you're gonna talk about De Palma, it's always like he is just shocking in general. His visuals, his themes, obviously. My takeaway of this film, aside from the themes and how it could be problematic today, is really. What I know about him is he loves Hitchcock, and oh my god, I had never seen someone who had loved Hitchcock so much as watching this film, because it is so Hitchcockian. Sorry to geek out again, Aaron, but like this is like it's psycho. I mean, obviously it's almost even in terms of structure of film, it's psycho.
The plot,
the plot is psycho. And then I thought that, and I read up on it. And everyone was kind of confirming what I was thinking. But the clearest part is how jarring it is at the beginning, where you follow the first protagonist and then she's fucking dead in the first 20 minutes. And you're like, and then you shift a new protagonist and you're like, oh fuck, what happened? That's exactly Psycho. So like you can really see the influences of Hitchcock, and I love seeing that in directors' works. Na parang, man, like so he just. It's not ripping off. It's really
right. That's right. I think out of all the Hitchcockian disciples or the Hitchcock disciples, only De Palma and I think to an extent Spielberg has managed to tap into that sort of mentality and suspense and made it their own.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Like the beginning is really Psycho. The end is Rear Window, like with the kid staring into the binoculars and then the reveal of so I love seeing that yung threads of like influences of directors. So that for me, that was such a treat for me, especially that aside from how shocking the whole thing was. It's so extra. Like the movie's so extra. Like it has everything. Like it's so gory. It's so provocative, and then like the themes are so taboo. And it's like, wow, this is like De Palma on steroids. You know, it's right. Like it's everything about De Palma is in this movie. Basically, trying to say.
One of my favorite little details that I again read up on afterwards was that yung diba there's a plot point na the kid, he sort of plays detective and films the office of the psychiatrist. Apparently according to IMDb trivia, when De Palma was young, his mom encouraged him also to spy on his dad, who she thought was cheating, with a camera, pakifilm anak, parang ganun. So parang agaling na he writes, I think he might be writing some stuff of his own into his movies or this movie also. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Ellie, I'm very curious now because, like, I mean, obviously we know it because we're fans of you and we follow your career. But like for the listeners, I mean, I don't think they realize how big of a film fan you are.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm really curious to kind of talk about that part of you. Like, is this like just your choice alone of choosing a De Palma film? It was so interesting to me. And then you started talking about horror being your favorite genre. And then you even identified this as a slasher. So, you know, like, I was like, it's absolutely a slasher. Like, I thought I was the only one who was thinking that. So I'm so surprised that you actually called it out, calling it a slasher. Did you guys think that? Because I really thought that this is horror because it's a slasher film.
Yeah, I was pretty conscious kasi about the choices because I had a lot of choices.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so I parang narrowed it down to what is a horror movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
And since parang I did consider slasher movies as horror, it's a subgenre, diba? I picked na lang the one that sort of, I did parang have a feeling that you guys didn't know about it. So I guess that was my number one consideration.
Galing. Thank you.
Yeah, otherwise we wouldn't be talking so excitedly about it.
Yeah.
I could have picked, you know, It, which I also loved. It's a modern, the newer one. I think it's a modern masterpiece, and I would have also picked The Thing, John Carpenter.
Ooh, that's Chris's favorite movie.
Yeah. So buti na lang hindi.
I'm a little heartbroken that Ellie didn't choose The Thing because I've been waiting for someone to choose The Thing. And when he mentioned it, I was like, oh damn, we came so close.
But if Ellie mentioned it, or if Ellie picked it, parang this pod would be a conversation between you two. Like, and we'll be like, that's really great.
Chris mentions The Thing, I think, in almost every episode. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he finds a way.
Finds a way to insert The Thing.
Dapat may special episode kayo na The Thing lang.
Magyayari na yata.
With Chris talking about it.
See, Aaron and Miguel wouldn't get the word in, siguro.
Okay.
Okay.
Yung pala yung The Thing. Okay.
So, Ellie, it's nice that you actually said that you try to categorize this within the horror genre. So, what fits in the horror genre for you? Because we've had guests
nice question.
say things like, horror for me is just religious horror, just ghosts. So, what is under horror for you?
It could be anything actually. I would also consider Mulholland Drive as horror.
Yes,
because to me
totally agree.
It's nightmarish, although it only has like one jump scare. To me, it's very disturbing, and that also to me is a kind of horror. So yeah, it's a very, very, I think for me, all-encompassing genre.
Because of this podcast, I've really expanded my definition of horror. I mean, for this podcast, we even got someone who chose young Sherlock Holmes. You know what I mean? Like,
I was surprised. Yeah. Sabi ko, so anyone can choose anything. Diba? Ganun pala eh.
May mga outliers. May outliers.
Outliers lang. Tapos yung What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, exactly. This is a comedy. But I think, like, for me, like, I think my final definition of horror is whatever horrifies you in whatever way.
Yes,
Yun lang.
definitely.
So I mean, like it can be anything. Like because like when our guest Wincy chose young Sherlock Holmes, he chose it because it terrified him as a kid. It's a kids movie,
Yeah.
but he watched it so young, and it was terrifying for him. So he kind of
that makes sense.
yeah. So like it was so interesting. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Why not? Why can't we expand that definition to just whatever fucking horrifies you?
Wincy pala yun.
Yeah, yeah.
Who else? Yeah, exactly. Who else?
And alam mo ba, El, it was so funny kasi naalala ko, I watched that movie when I was young. So sobrang bata pa ako nun. So when he suggested it, I got excited. Sabi ko, oh my gosh, crush ko pa yan when I was young. I remember.
Yeah.
And I watched it again. Ang pangit. Tapos, crush ko to? What the hell? This is a kid's film. But yeah, it scared me also as a kid. This whole boiling a girl alive was
Yeah.
pretty scary.
Yeah.
It had that pulp aspect of horror na nakatuwa naman.
Yeah, and actually, like going back to Dress to Kill, no, like at the start, I didn't think it was horror at all. It's like, oh no, this is
Me
this is
too.
probably a thriller. This is a thriller. But then, like the first murder happened, I was like, oh no, this is 100% a slasher, dude. Like the set piece alone was a slasher film, and then how he framed everything and how he lit everything, even the reveal. I mean, even though some would say it's a ripoff of Psycho, like it was a horror, a 100% slasher film, horror.
But,
and then
but
I was so taken
De
aback.
Palma also had new ideas also. I mean, he's been
please.
pegged as a Hitchcock
100%.
Impersonator, kumbaga. But
Oh.
he has some really cool ideas. Like, for example, that set piece of that museum.
The museum,
set piece,
yeah.
it almost plays out like a silent film,
Mm-hmm.
and the suspense talaga. It's just the dropping of the glove and how this guy picks up Angie Dickinson.
Mm-hmm.
Pero the suspense is still there. Diba? Parang what director can put this set piece in a supposed slasher movie?
He's so good at the extended moment. No?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, obviously, like the scene from Untouchables, which is also like an homage, no? But the baby carriage on the stairs. But he's so good at extending the moment. Like that
Slow-mo
elevator
pa,
murder.
diba?
Oh,
Yeah.
and that elevator murder, extending that was just whoa. That was really wild for me, honestly. And then, like at the very end, when what's her name, Nancy Allen was like reaching into the elevator
Oh yeah.
about to help,
Yes.
and then she could see the reflection of the killer.
Yes.
That was like,
Goosebumps yun. Goosebumps.
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I can tell you a lot of goosebump moments that I love about this movie.
Please.
Every time you see it, parang it's always like seeing it for the first time. Speaking of that elevator sequence, when you first see the silhouette of Bobby or Michael Caine in his wig and shades in the fire escape door,
Yes.
like peering through, that was the first goosebump moment. And then when the kid sort of judges Angie Dickinson's character,
Mm-hmm.
judging her, and she turns away, that to me is also parang a horror kind of moment.
In the elevator, the little girl.
For the character.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the actual killing. And it's really amazing to me that De Palma shows the murderer like in full. Parang there's no darkness, there's no shadows involved. The scene was lit very well. And you can actually parang make out Michael Caine in drag.
Yeah.
So that to me was very ballsy to show the murderer in the first scene of killing.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this shot of the razor lang with Michael Caine parang defocus. So stuff like that, parang it makes all the build-up super worthwhile and it just amps it up hanggang dun sa dropping of the razor. It's really a masterclass in suspense filmmaking.
Absolutely. But I think we're forgetting the scariest part of this movie.
Can I say it for me?
Oh, are you
say
going to
for
guess
me.
what I'm going to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it the end? Is it the ending?
No,
And then-
sir.
fuck you, dude? Like the shoes? Like that's also for me.
No, I'll tell you the
Yeah,
scariest
go.
part of this movie.
Then I'll tell
Scariest
mine.
part- Scariest part of this movie was Angie Dickinson about to write the note, and she discovers that her partner has I was just like, whoa, like that's pretty fucking terrifying. And
That is a horror. That is a horror.
world
It's a different
horror.
kind of horror. Yeah.
Like for her, because like she's like, I love how they set it up, because like she's so in love with this guy, or like in that
Yeah.
moment, not in love with the guy, but with like what happened to her, you know. Like,
Yeah.
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 And then she's writing these beautiful notes, and this shit just comes out.
In-edit niya pa, di ba? In-edit niya.
Oo. Pinag-isipan niya talaga.
Yeah, they took
Pinag-isipan
time
niya talaga.
talaga.
So it's
I'm like, wow, this girl isn't in a hurry to leave the apartment of the guy she just had a fling with. She's gonna write a note.
right.
Ako naman, when she was gonna write a note, like, wow, good breeding talaga siya. She's writing a note.
Yeah. You know
that's
what shocked me?
She must have been fucking terrified. Like,
Yeah,
what?
there was
Go,
one
Aaron.
part that super shocked me. When the policeman was saying what happened to her, that guy from the museum pala wasn't the guy she slept with. The guy that she was following around. Because the policeman said something like, yeah, the cab driver told me she got hot and heavy with that guy. And then she hit on someone else in the elevator. Do you guys not
my-
catch that?
no, I didn't.
No.
I didn't catch
You
that.
rewound it again because I was like, wait a minute. So that was a different guy pa. Because parang the cop was implying that
She sleeps
was,
around.
yun nga, she sleeps around. So the guy she was
I'll
going out to the cab with wasn't the guy that she ended up going
Wow.
with.
Confused
Okay,
ako
now-
hanapin ko yun. Yeah, now
Yeah,
we watch.
Yeah, that one I was just like, what? It's a different guy pa? Oh. And they made the girls here really promiscuous.
Extremely,
Really, like-
both.
Not that it's a bad thing, but they were
No,
calling
no.
them whores.
I think that was the point of conflict from like the critics were saying like, or like it was a bit it's misogynistic kasi nga these were women who were exercising their sexuality. That's lang they were like put in this peg. But for me naman, I'm not sure if that's right or wrong, but parang it was part of the story that they were portrayed that they had to be seen that way by the cops or even by the cops.
Yeah,
Parang kasama talaga yun. Galing.
Yeah, it's
So, back to you.
the cop is Dennis Franz. I think.
Yeah,
It's from NYPD Blue.
Yeah, exactly. Galing. Doon pa lang magaling na siya eh.
Oh,
Parang, and then even at the end where they reveal na he kinda manipulated the situation also.
Yeah.
Like,
It was
oh, like,
virtual pala.
yeah, like, oh, this cop's fucking competent pala. Galing. But for me, natakot ako dun sa sapatos. Like, parang, like, this is, sorry guys, this is like, I mean, if you're gonna watch this, spoiler alert, para, for people who are listening in, parang, ang galing kasi, they sort of focus on the pair of shoes waiting outside the bathroom door. So, they parang all the protagonists think they're entrapping the killer. Pero sila paling naloko. Like, parang the killer was so smart that they just put their shoes out there to lure them out. And then they were already waiting inside the bathroom. Kaya nga, that reveal in the mirror, in full harsh lighting of a bathroom of the killer, that was my goosebump moment, or that was my shocking moment. Like, fuck, parang he's inside na, parang yan. Galing.
You know what I like now in retrospect, knowing like the reveal of Michael Caine as the killer, spoiler, is it earlier on in the film when he's listening to the messages on his phone, he hears the voice of the killer, but De Palma played with it. It's basically, it's either he called himself or he's hearing it in his head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so like, and then realizing that and how they staged that, I was like, wow, that was actually pretty brilliant, because that was such to throw you off the scent.
Yeah.
It's Michael Caine, like.
Or even when he... go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, di ba I told you nga, parang if you just pause in the elevator, you immediately recognize Michael
really?
Caine. And when I was rewatching it, parang I was worried na, wait a minute, parang I actually bought this. And then how is De Palma supposed to throw me off the scent? And then that happened. He
Calls.
the messages of Bobby was there and parang different, syempre different accent pa, American accent. So I thought it was a really cool way to, again, throw you off the scent.
Yeah. I mean, it really was a whodunit, no? Like, I was reading this review ni Gene Siskel, may he rest in peace, where he says na it was all style. He loves the film, by the way. He said na the style distracts you from the simplicity of the narrative. Like if you ignore the style, you will realize the twist immediately. And I was like, really? I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I didn't see the twist coming.
That's what
I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming. So, kaya nga, in the end, when the other psychiatrist, parang, di ba, when Michael Caine went to see him and they had that conversation in the stairwell, parang something was amiss, but I couldn't, hindi ko napansin. So later on, parang, galing. Galing ang setup niya.
May look na yung doctor eh.
Yes.
May look na siya na parang, parang gano'n.
Yeah. Tsaka yung pakanta ka siya. So this movie, like, is one of those movies that calls for a rewatch talaga, no? Because parang you want to see where it happens. Like, galing. Anyway, so when you consider, I know, Ellie, you also make films for yourself. Would you consider De Palma one of your main influences, or are there other directors you also look up to? Maybe David Lynch, obviously.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
I try to keep my options open.
Sure.
And I crib from those masters. Yeah, I like Lynch. I like definitely Spielberg, Kubrick. Another favorite of mine is William Friedkin, of course.
Ooh. Exorcist.
Googling.
Yeah, we just watched that last time.
Yeah. I watched it 10 years ago.
Who picked Exorcist?
Frankie Pangilinan.
Frankie Pangilinan.
Oh,
Yeah.
Frankie.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job.
That's one of the best parts of this podcast, really, is meeting new people and then like finding out what kind of movies they like. So it's so surprising. Like when you find out, see why did Frankie pick Exorcist? No, it's because apparently Sharon is a huge horror fan.
Yeah.
Like she's apparently a massive horror fan. She watches all the classics, and then like whenever they're sick, they watch horror films. Kasi ang reasoning nila, it is parang to make you think na parang, see, someone else's life is worse than you. Parang ganun.
Yeah. Galing. Very eye-opening. Like, people used to, parang even other people use horror to cope na talaga with actual horrors. Galing.
Yeah. I remember Ellie earlier, sabi ni Miguel na we asked him to do the synopsis because we think he won't watch the movie. Guess what? He didn't watch Exorcist. See? That's the reason.
I watched Exorcist 10 years ago or basta
No, you didn't watch it 10 years ago, dude. It wasn't
20 years ago. Was it 20 years ago?
Before Frankie was born. That's what we were talking about.
I watched it. I watched the directors, their
when you were in college before Frankie was born. That was a big joke for the episode.
Ako nga pala. I can't believe that even the reissue came out before she was born. That's so mind-boggling to me. But sorry, going back to De Palma, a director who I am very aware of, but apparently haven't studied enough. Parang, and so, like, I haven't even seen Carrie. Like, did he come from a avant-garde or independent or art background? Kasi in this movie, Dress to Kill, parang, it was very stylistic for its time. I guess the critics then felt it was a bit too stylistic. But for me, it was really well, parang the craft was great. So did he come from that sort of, parang I want to think na parang tangina gano'n na siya talaga ka-talented na even in the 80s. He's been making movies na since then, before that. Pero dun pa lang, litaw na yung talent niya or yung craftsmanship niya. Or did he even have that art background? Kasi ang daming eksena in Dress to Kill na parang straight out of an art film, like the silent part in the museum or something like that.
When
is that his style? Yeah.
He studied in NYU, so I would think he got his training there.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's also part of the original Hollywood, Brad Pitt.
Yeah, the new Hollywood with
The new Hollywood, Scorsese.
Mercada, no?
Yeah.
Coppola.
Yeah.
Sila yun.
Lucas, Spielberg.
Spielberg.
He's a big fan of Godard, so he's definitely super art. Actually, he's a fan of Godard and Hitchcock, so you can really see yung.
Yeah, I can. You can totally. Yeah.
Right, like he's like art suspense. Parang ganun, you know?
I can't. Can you explain that, please?
So Chris, you are Ellie. Godard
and Hitchcock.
French filmmaker, really
French
very,
na. Like when I know you see those like black and white. Even if it's an American movie, but it's black and white and it's very classically shot, but there's also a lot of absurd, weird. Tama ba? Somebody jump in if I'm wrong. It's slightly weird and absurd.
Hirap
it just
hirap in defense.
Can you give me an example na lang? Like what is something I would see in a Godard?
Basta parang he was part of they called it the French New Wave of directors, which included Truffaut and who else? Si Godard, siguro, when you see, sino ba yung neorealism and the Italians yun?
Italian. Basta art
lang.
Play out.
Basta art.
They played
art in black and white yan.
They played with plots. Basta sobrang experimental nila for that time. 60s. Yeah.
Google ko na. Then I'll send you the link. Aaron.
Yeah.
Pero kita mo nga yung intersect nila.
Yung dalawa.
Yeah.
Parang,
galing, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
but man, like when Aaron was messaging us earlier, like I was cracking up because she was like, look at this scene. Like she's in the shower and she's spraying it in her hair, and then like nothing's like it's not moving. It's like so there's some really ridiculous scenes na parang obviously like
and they make
product
the
of their time, diba?
Always do stuff in a sexy way. It has to be. In this movie, when you take a shower, kailangan talagang wow, sexy. Your hair is big and puffy. Everything they were doing had something sexual attached to it, which I guess was the point because that's what drove him to, to become like that. But damn, it was a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot talaga. Like, De Palma's a lot. Ang dami ding duality sa movie. Like, there's the whole split screen stuff. There are two female protagonists. The killer is basically two people,
Yeah.
There's a whole play on two different gloves. Grabe talaga.
There was this one scene I found super interesting because my roommate was saying, "Oh, Aaron, that scene exactly. That scene is really famous." When Michael Caine and the other girl they were watching the same thing on TV, pero naka-split screen.
Yeah, the split screen.
About transsexuals.
Apparently, that's
trademark.
Yeah, he does that in almost all his movies, like Carrie, The Sisters. Yeah, trademark na yan.
I've seen Carrie. Which part is that? Na nag-split screen siya.
The climax when
nasa stage na siya.
Nasa prom, yung sa stage.
Yeah.
What
that's freaky. You should see that.
Is this your favorite De Palma, Ellie, or did you choose this because of the horror aspect lang?
So horror, that would be second from De Palma. The first one would be siguro Blowout, which came after. But that, I don't think that could be considered a horror movie though. It's also some kind of a slasher flick, but mostly political thriller. Pero same style, so I put it in there.
Yeah. I'm definitely, I love, I think my favorite of his is obviously Untouchables, pero, because it's just so fun. But for horror, it's easily Carrie. This was a really surprising, because to start, I really thought I would dislike it, to be honest, because like of the beginning, the opening sequence is like, it's so gratuitous, and then like, but then like the mystery really sucked me in, and then like, the style was just so like, okay, I get it now. I really get it. I get this movie.
It was engaging for sure because you can't watch until the middle. Tapos sabihin mo, hindi, I don't want to know how it ends. No, you want to because it's so, ano nangyayari? What's this? So you have to finish it. It's one of those movies.
My point na kala ko may mangyayari pa between the child, the young kid, and the escort. I'm like, this is a really good. Are they going to cross this line?
You're a secret.
Like, I mean, as the avatar. Parang, as the youngest. Parang, is she? Kasi medyo cute si high class who was the wife, diba, of the they were
really?
asawa yata yun at that time, like when this movie was made. But it was written for her. Yeah.
Is she the girl in RoboCop? Am I wrong?
She is.
Yeah, she's the cop in RoboCop, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm super interested in, Ellie, because we've been talking about classical movies for the longest time. What are the newer horror movies that you kind of like, aside from It, which you mentioned earlier?
Recently, I really liked Hereditary, Somar. Yeah, mga ganun.
Nice. Post-horror fan din si Ellie, unlike certain people.
Sorry, man. I didn't go to film school. Give me the mainstream. Give me the mainstream stuff.
Sobrang mainstream kaya
I don't know, man. I don't know.
No. Aaron liked Hereditary. It's Midsommar she didn't.
Yeah. Yung Midsommar.
I got caught up in the details in Midsommar, really. There, I had to read like, why? Oh, it's a Nordic tradition. Oh, why do I have to read about this? As in, tinamad ako after that. Basahin mo pa to. Akala ko okay na eh. May movie na eh. May written text pa pala. May essay. Oh, tamad.
Alam mo yung little thing na gusto ko about Midsommar? Parang most of the movie and most of the horrors in the movie happen during daytime.
Yeah.
I can sit through this.
Actually, you know what's funny, Miguel? They have a very long deleted scene. Entirely at night.
Yeah.
So if they put that in,
it's totally different for me.
Yeah. It would have really stuck out because the whole movie is in basically, sunlight.
I watched it alone in the cinema, Midsommar. And
that's something you can watch alone.
Yeah,
nothing to be proud of.
Yeah, a lot. So I noticed something about myself while watching all these films. Even this one, Dress to Kill, right? I don't like wounds and blood. Pinapakita dito, diba? The slash, they really show the slash. That's what gets me. That's why when we watched Audition, I was really like, fuck this, man. Tiklop ako doon. Have you seen Audition, Ellie?
Yeah. No, I'm not watching it again ever.
Yeah, tiklop ako doon.
Okay.
I cannot. So when it comes to stuff like that, even just this, I had to cover my eyes. It's not my thing. It's blood and wounds, so it's a lot. That's my horror.
Buti nga yung blood, fake blood pa eh. It's really red. I mean, it's not the way they do blood now.
Which is like a lot darker.
Yeah, alam mong fake eh. Pero ano pa rin eh. Shocking pa rin.
The slashes itself.
Aaron, have you seen Carrie?
Yes, I've seen Carrie. I loved it. I did not see the new Carrie because I didn't want to ruin
don't bother.
Carrie.
Don't bother.
Wow, okay. So I haven't seen
Chloe
it.
Moretz.
I should just watch the old one. Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
The SpaceX, CC SpaceX, no?
This is something you can absolutely watch, Miguel. I promise you.
Is it?
Kaya mo to.
All right, got it. Checking it out.
Yeah, I think when you see more of his films, you'll realize that. Yeah, so this is De Palma. He's very.
Carrie, my iconic scene, diba? Like
the pig's blood.
Yeah. All right, got it.
Yeah.
I know
what Sissy SpaceX faced in that movie was a lot of horror. She was so creepy.
Yes.
As high school dapat yun. Oh,
yes.
Creeped me out. Just her eyes. So that image alone was really scary. So I couldn't imagine how Chloe Moretz would pull it off because she's so pretty.
That is precisely wrong. Why the remake is so wrong. Precisely wrong. Because like Carrie's supposed to be like this bullied girl based on her appearance and her looks, and you're like, then why'd you cast like a pretty girl? You know, you defeated the purpose of the whole. Oh no.
Sayang.
But
oh well. Anywho, Ellie, what have you been doing during the pandemic? What's been keeping you busy?
I've been tending to label offshore music.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing some studying guitar, studying post-production, stuff like that.
Are you working on any film-related projects?
At the moment, no, but I'm trying to keep busy writing some scripts.
I'm surprised that because like not a lot of people can be very
Productive.
during the pandemic. Like I'm wala.
I'm not. Yeah, ako wala
last
rin
year
ako.
and a half, like zero. Cannot
What else can you
even
do,
function.
man?
Yun nga eh.
Yeah.
Well, you can create a podcast about horror films and then talk to people. That's what you can do. Because there's minimal effort.
we just bought mics. Medyo low-tech, medyo cheapo pa nga.
Oh, this is great, man. I'm really, this is a great concept. I really like it.
Oh, we're glad.
I'm so glad. And what's more important is when I found out that you were, because I obviously knew that you were a big fan of film, no, but like Quark told me that you actually did like horror films. Like, oh fuck, now we really have to find a way to get Ellie on the show. So that's why we tried to get in contact with you. Actually,
Thank you,
so it totally worked out. That's my favorite part about this whole podcast is getting to meet all these people who love my favorite genre, and then converting Aaron and Miguel into even bigger fans.
Actually,
Well,
it's true.
What an arc during the pandemic.
So, Ellie, in the scripts that you've been writing, is there any horror? Have
Or
you
suspense,
explored the horror genre?
I have some ideas pa lang. It's hard. Na nakaka-insecure when you see all these really good movies. And should I even try? I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's so interesting to hear, Ellie, na someone, who's as talented as you and who's done as much as you will also still feel worried sometimes.
It was kind of shocking to hear that too.
Yeah. Nagulat ako na.
But if you're talking about music, I'll be more confident, definitely.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But filmmaking, no, I'm just a dabbler for now. So.
Mm-hmm. Aren't we all? I have dabbled a few times.
Who has one short film? Yes.
I mean, like we have one person on this podcast right now who's gonna be in a film soon. Oh, but that might be a secret. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
Naglag siya ng konti.
Naglag no slight, but yeah.
Okay, I think I'm back. Yeah.
Yeah, you're back. It's okay. We were just talking about you.
Yes, as we were talking about it.
It's okay. I won't ko ilalaglag yung internet provider ko. They've been over.
That's another horror story.
Yeah, for real. You know what
real.
happened to us for 2 weeks? Wala kaming internet. And we tried to call our internet service provider for the really longest time. And then, wala. They weren't getting back to us. And then we found out that a squirrel ate the fiber cable.
In your village.
So
Yeah.
Could it have been a rat? Kailangan ba
Squirrel
squirrel?
daw.
Squirrel daw.
Yeah.
Damn. Anywho.
Anywho, so maybe we can take this time to kind of circle back into the film. Usually we kind of end with last thoughts.
Yeah.
On the film. Well, obviously we always want our guests to end it. So So maybe who wants to go first on
Me,
your
I'll
final
go first.
thoughts on Dress to Kill?
Okay.
All right.
My final thoughts. First of all, thank you so much for choosing a movie that I haven't seen. And
None of
it's
us have
because
seen
of this episode that I know who De Palma is. So when I watch movies, I don't look at the director. I look at the acting. I look at the,
Sure.
I looked at it to enjoy it. So now I know, and I looked at his whole list of movies. I've seen a few. I've seen Carrie. I've seen Mission Impossible. So yeah, I got to know a little bit more about that. I also got to learn because of this episode who Godard is. So now I'm so learned.
Now you're set.
Yeah, learned and smart. I know that, this was Hitchcock inspired. So I can tell all my friends that, guys, I know movies now, so you don't. So those are my final thoughts. Thank you.
Wait, before you jump on, Miguel, Aaron, question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that you know that you've actually seen a bunch of his films,
Yeah.
do you see some like similarity? Or like do you recognize certain things? Like,
I see no similarity in Carrie and in Mission Impossible and this movie.
sure.
I don't see any.
Yeah,
But that's just. But then when he mentioned the split screen of Carrie, I was like, all right, yeah, I remember that. But these little details, I don't really take.
Isn't he also known for long cuts? Like
Yeah,
meron
long
siyang mga
takes, moving
long takes pala,
camera.
sorry. Yeah, moving camera. Which he
Moving
did also
camera.
in Rest to Kill, diba? Or there were
Yeah.
some scenes there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my turn. I think for me, this probably is the earliest De Palma I've seen. Parang I googled up his filmography. I haven't seen Carrie, so ito na pala yung pinaka earliest De Palma. And like coming from a person who knew him from Untouchables and Mission Impossible nga and mga later stuff, parang oh shit, parang this is a really good psychological. It's like a bit of a small psychological thriller, but it has so much craft in it. It's so well made. And for me, the thing I kind of appreciated the most about it is that it made me, I was parang naka-imbalance ako the whole time. Like I didn't know what to expect. Like I didn't know what was going to happen next. Parang it kept me on my toes. And parang it surprised me. Like literally everything about it surprised me. And I think you can't ask for anything more from a thriller. So I really enjoyed that experience and I'm glad somebody picked this out. Thanks, Ali.
I totally agree with you on that when you say that everything about it surprised you.
Yeah.
Because I feel the exact same way, even though I kind of expected De Palma was pretty extra. No, but again, like you, like the three of us, I hadn't seen this movie before. So it was really quite an experience. Kasi parang, like I said, like everything you know about De Palma is in this movie. Like literally everything. Like, the camera movement, the editing, the taboo topics, the gore, the violence, the extended suspense sequences, very exquisite set pieces. So like as a film fan, it was quite an experience. But for me, my takeaway was, again, like I really enjoyed it as a horror film because I didn't realize it was a horror film until it was like, wow, every single slasher trope is in this movie. Like even all the way up till the end with the fake out nightmare, it became a night. I mean, that's a slasher trope. And it's in it. So like, I didn't know that he had a very clear-cut horror film outside of Carrie until I saw this movie. And so I really enjoyed it. It was quite the experience because it was like, I did not know what was happening. And it was slowly unfolding because it really was a mystery, And then I really got sucked in, especially towards the end. But yeah, so I really want to thank Ellie for choosing this because I had not seen it. And that was really, and I should have. I really should have.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. So Ellie, what are your final thoughts?
Thank you also for making me do this and making me reconsider what films I really like. And it all boiled down talaga to what movie would I think would be shocking to you, would keep you interested. And I think naman
Check.
Just to Kill, check all the boxes. And
Totally.
Yeah, I just really miss the guy. I miss De Palma. I mean, he hasn't made a good movie since Untouchables and Mission Impossible. Pero, he did a lot of really good movies. And not just thrillers, but also, gangster pictures, dramas. So in the end, that was my the final consideration is what kind of director this movie has. It's hard to be a director and be good at everything. And there are only like a handful of directors who can do this, who can scare the shit out of you, and make you think. And De Palma is, I think, one of the real masters of cinema. Kasi madali ng drama is easy, but I think horror movies are really hard to do. Horror movies and comedies. And that's the sign of a true master, if you can shift in between all those genres with aplomb, And even Kubrick, I think, didn't do so well with The Shining. Martin Scorsese tried with, I don't know, Shutter Island.
Shutter Island, probably.
Yeah, but compared to De Palma or Spielberg, they're left wanting, in my opinion. So, yeah, thank you for making me realize how much I love this journey. Yeah, I really had fun. Thank you.
Oh man, we had so much
We're
fun.
glad.
And
Yeah.
just want to say it's an absolute honor to have you on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And to our listeners, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean,
Final.
I want to say, let's talk about the thing some other time, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man.
So that Chris can finally make us watch it.
Can we record next week?
I'm getting on game.
Ellie,
My
is there
dreams come
anything?
true. Okay.
Ellie, sorry,
you
is there
wanna
anything you're
plug?
working on? Yeah, that you want to talk about, or is there anything you're releasing soon?
Wala. I don't want to
Relax
bore you
muna tayo.
guys. Yeah, I don't want to
we were not
right.
bored. Yeah, thank you so
we're not
much.
bored. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you so much for staying with us for this episode. Please remember to join our Facebook group. So we have a Facebook group called Dead Air, and you can join and talk about your favorite horror movies there. We also have an Instagram that you can follow at Dead Air Pod. And something new, we have a Shopee affiliate link. That's right, guys. If you like this podcast, you can give us commissions. Buy everything
Yes.
from Shopee, buy your washing machine, buy any huge item, and we're going to get a tiny, tiny commission from that. And you're going to help us keep this podcast alive. So once again, thank you so much to our guest. And we hope that everybody
guys.
enjoyed and enjoyed.
Thanks so much.
Listeners. Bye.
Bye.
Take care, Ellie. Thank you.
Sakto pero
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.